for us. But
Haven't heard from him since.
the creeks are dry right now, and water is down. But in the fall, we generally get more precipitation. Then through
Yes.
the winter, we need to build it up. How much do we need to build up over the course of the next 6 months or so?
Well,
Without being able to predict what the weather's going to be like next summer.
right, yeah, we don't know. We like there to be flowing water in those streams.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when we look at the deficiency from normal, Indiana County's still 8 inches above normal for the year, precipitation-wise.
Really? That
Yeah.
shows you how wet it was in springtime,
Yes.
huh?
Yeah. Well, and we had a couple spells this summer too where it was wetter.
Mm-hmm.
In some other areas of the state, not so much, because you go still up in that northern tier, and then if you go east, as you get down towards Franklin County, Mifflin County, into that area,
Mm-hmm.
they're like 4 inches, roughly 4 inches below normal for the year at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a bunch of other areas are, teetering right at a little bit of an inch deficiency to a inch over. So that's kind of how the statistics play out. But it has been, when you start digging and you can dig in the soil, and there's still a little moisture here, but
It's dry.
but it's on the drier side. And when you look at the streams,
Mm-hmm.
our creeks and streams, you can see that the flow is definitely not that much at this point.
The flow doesn't really meet the definition of flow.
No. It's a trickle, right? A trickle.
If that. Hey, I wanted to ask you as well this morning about the spotted lanternfly. Did that thing happen yet? That event?
I think that was yesterday.
That was yesterday?
Yesterday afternoon is when that was supposed to be.
Really, it was?
Yeah.
Gosh. I wish I'd been up on that, but I was away for a few days.
Yeah.
So the spotted lanternfly is obviously a concern for growers all across the state and for folks who want to keep their vegetation. But we're entering a new phase, aren't we? The winter phase for the spotted lanternfly, so they'll be harder to spot. It's not like somebody's out there with a paintbrush trying to spot them in that way, but to see, harder to see.
Right. So the adults are still around. The adults are laying eggs at this point. So the biggest things, you might still see some activity until we really get colder. Those adults will still function. They'll be mating. They'll be laying eggs. So eventually, here within the next month or so, then they'll tail off. If you are seeing them, you won't see them anymore. The only thing that will be left will be those egg masses that will overwinter on a variety of both living and non-living things. So old tires, metal, campers, vehicles, structures, as well as, trees and things out in nature.
Have you actually seen any out in the world? I mean, an egg mass?
I've seen the egg masses, not here.
Uh-huh.
I've seen them other places, but not here yet.
And is it true what they say about places like Harrisburg where you can't walk down the street without crunching over some spotted lanternflies?
Yes, that's been true.
Really?
In that whole eastern corridor as it got started and moved its way west, yes, they were as thick can be, one on top of another, solid mass of those insects on whatever it was. Yeah.
Okay, that being the case, what types of damages are they noticing, and how reversible is the type of damage that the spotted lanternfly is causing?
So they are piercing, sucking insects. So they have strong mouth parts that are able to pierce into the branches. So grapevines, for example, trees. Of course, tree of heaven is one of those favored tree species, and then there's a variety of other plants that they will attempt to get on and remove sap. That's what they feed on, is plant sap. They're not chewing leaves. They're feeding on the sap. And so that's what they do. And so over time, and and as that population is very large, and you have, think if you have tens of thousands of those on one tree or one grapevine, for example, how quickly they can remove sap from that, and so the quantity becomes an issue, and it stresses the plant and can actually kill the plant. So that's where the real danger is. They can also, they might also feed on fruit a little bit, but for the most part, they've been able to, like in an orchard where we have fruit, and even in a vineyard, they're controllable. There are insecticides that will control them, so that's a good thing. And they're also finding some naturally occurring organisms that will also control them. So there's some bacteria that they're finding will kill them, which is good. Bovaria bassiana is one of those. That's been around. It's been used in organic agriculture and beyond, just to as an organic type of material, naturally occurring, that they can propagate that bacteria. It's already labeled and used to control insects, but they found that it will infect and kill lanternfly, and then there's another one as well. So that's
the application is a spray.
Yes, yeah. Typically, that's how that works. So those are coming. So as time marches on here, and that the longer the pest is here, then the more opportunity is, to observe as well as identify things that will, in nature, as well as developing products that can control these pests. So that's a good thing. So it's kind of nice to be a little bit on the lag side of an infestation, because our populations haven't built up here, so that's good. Other people have had to deal with the mass deployment of those insects all around, and then we have time to watch and observe, and then as they do more research and find products that will control those things, then that helps us out, because then when the infestation comes here, then some of those tools are already in place that we can pick off the shelf and go with.
Last question, and I say this simply because I came across it this week. A pumpkin vine that was just completely out of control. It was growing up over a guy's porch railing, and the pumpkin was actually hanging on it like a fruit, like an apple on a tree, and it's still green. It's not going to turn orange for us. But I've never seen that before. That if you just let it go, walk away, then that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And getting that baby chopped out of there is not going to be an easy thing.
Yeah, unless a nice hard freeze will knock it back in a hurry. They're pretty sensitive to that. But yeah, those vines can really grow long distances as long as there's nothing to impede them, and they'll come up over and as well.
This thing's about 15 feet long.
Yeah, oh yeah, I believe that. Yeah. Some of the bigger varieties, they grow big plants, and big pumpkins as well.
They sure do.
Yeah.
Sure do. All right, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.